Was good, y'all? Rich Sosa back in the building with another banger, man. So first things first, before we get started, I just want to go ahead and say thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity once again. Thank y'all watching, and man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Go ahead and turn on post notifications to join the Rich Gang family. Be sure to go ahead and hit that like button and drop a comment down below when complete, because I love interacting with y'all. Now, as y'all can see by the looks of the title and the screen, today I'm bringing y'all a very rare small forward build going to be called the Tempo Pushing Wing. Now, to get started, the very first thing that you want to go ahead and do is put this build under the small forward position. Then, once we go ahead and take it a step further, I'm telling you, as we go along with this build, you're really going to go ahead and get everything that you need out of it. So, with the height, I feel like 6'7" is going to be really balanced. Then, once it comes down to the weight, you don't want to be too small, but honestly, you want to be able to get your speed as high as you possibly can. So go ahead and put it to 180. Then with the wingspan, I'm going to go ahead and put this to 6'8", y'all. Now, I really want to be able to say that this is a very versatile build. If you feel like changing up the wingspan, you definitely can do so, but I'm telling you, you are definitely going to want to go ahead and follow along with the physicals that I bring y'all, but more so importantly, even when it comes down to the attributes that we're about to go ahead and upgrade. So once we go ahead and get into the making of this build, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Just be sure to follow along, and I promise you, everything is going to work out in your favor. So, when it comes down to the close shot on this build, this is something that I'm really only upgrading because of badge purposes. So as you can see, I'm going to go with the 60. Then with the driving layup, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to an 89. As for the driving dunk, y'all know I cannot leave y'all hanging when it comes down to this build. You can at least get pro contact dunks on this build if you decide to make it the correct way. But if you wanted to, you can even go ahead and make your own version trying to get the elite contact dunks. But here's what's going to make this build just much more different compared to most. We're going to go ahead and upgrade that post control, and that is going to allow us to be able to be even more versatile. And consider what this build is going to be looking like once you add boost and even add in a takeover. That honestly is going to be a huge upgrade when it comes down to the finishing on this build. I would say you have the potential to get at least an 80 post control, but 22 badges for the finishing is something that I really like about this build. Let's go ahead and move on to the shooting. Now, this is honestly probably the most important part about this build. You want to be able to shoot on any build that you're bringing out, especially when it comes down to a build that's more of a lockdown type. So for the midi, I'm going to go with a 75. Three-pointer with an 82, and then when it comes down to the free throw, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up to the 80s if you want, so you can even go into the 90s exactly at 90. And right here, we're going to end it off with 22 shooting badges. Now, for my liking, I would definitely have to say, also consider the extra badge points that you're going to be able to unlock once it comes down to getting the rebirth, but also each season gives you an extra badge point, which is a huge W, y'all. So a lot of these builds that I bring y'all really are going to be looking different when it comes down to the badge counts, especially once you go ahead and add in your upgrades. Now, as we take it a step further into the playmaking, I'm going to go with the pass accuracy of 76, ball handle of 86 with a maxed out speed with ball, and that's going to give us 24 playmaking badges. Now, as you can see, for the playmaking on this build, even much more versatile, especially with what it's able to do. That means we have one final area that we really have to focus on, and of course, I saved the best for last, the defense, of course. Now, remember, any type of build that you feel like changing up, go ahead and do it after we get into the making. I know there are definitely a few adjustments that you can definitely make on this build, but I'm bringing it to y'all the way that I truly feel like is going to be the best setup for it. Now, on the defensive end, I want to be able to play inside, and remember, we're adding boost on this build as well, which is going to bring up our interior defense at least to the 70s. Then, once we go ahead and get to the perimeter defense, this is going to be a 77, but with boost, you will be in the 80s. Also, when it comes down to the steal, I'm going to go ahead and put this up to an 84. Right there, you have the potential of getting into the 90s. Then, when it comes down to the block, this is a key thing about this build. You want to be sure to keep it at a 75 exactly. That's going to be able to allow you to unlock certain blocking animations as well as the badges that go with it. But for the rebounding, I'm going to go ahead and max out my offensive rebound as well as my defensive. And right here, we're going to be able to maintain 23 defensive badges. Now you actually have the potential for each category of this build to get 30 badges in that area, whether it be for the finishing, shooting, playmaking, and defensive end. All the extra badge points that we are getting from each season as well as the rebirth are really going to take a huge effect on this build. Now, once we go ahead and get into the physicals, probably, if not the most important part about this build, go ahead and put your speed to an 82. Then when it comes down to the acceleration, go with an 80. I'm going to leave the strength as is. And then as for the vertical, go ahead and put this to a 70 to unlock the pro contact dunks. But then with the stamina to wrap it up, I'm going to go with a 90. Now this is pretty much what the build is going to be looking like all around. Again, you definitely have the potential to get this build to over 100 badges already set in stone. All you got to go ahead and do is make sure you're completing each season, getting the extra badge points, and everything is going to work out for you. Now as for the takeovers, we do get the slashing, shot creating to break the ankles, sharpshooting to hit from deep, and then finally the playmaking to even help out your teammates. So all of these are really good options to pick from, but in order to unlock the most animations, go ahead and first pick the shot creating takeover to break the ankles. Then once it comes down to the second, this is really all based on a personal preference with what you want to go with. I'm going to go with finishing moves, and as y'all can see, we have made the tempo pushing wing with comparisons of Jimmy Butler, Paul George, and Scottie Pippen. Now we got a few minor things that we need to go ahead and do. First things, y'all, you already made it halfway through the video, if not more, and you still haven't hit that like button, be sure to go ahead and turn on post notifications to join the family. Hit that sub button and leave a comment because I do love interacting with y'all. Now let's go ahead and take a quick look at what this build is going to be looking like. So we really need to take into consideration the shooting takeover that we did just get. That's going to allow us to get the potential of a 99 3-pointer in takeover, but also with boost being added, running with teammates that are also going to be running floor general, and if not, defensive leader. Then once it comes down to what you're going to be looking like on the finishing end, you have the potential to get a 99 driving layup and a 99 driving dunk. Then when it comes down to the playmaking, if you decided to go with that takeover, your ball handle really has the potential to get to 99. But then as for the speed with the ball, this will be in the 90s, of course, if you are running with the correct teammates as well as buying boost for your stats, y'all. Now, honestly, it goes even further because when it comes down to the defensive boost that you're going to buy, you're going to be up in the 70s for the interior. As for the perimeter, you'll be up in the 80s. For the steal, you'll be up in the 90s. And then for the block and offensive rebound, both of these have the potential to hit up to the 80s. Then for the defensive rebound, this will definitely be in the high 80s as well. So just something to take into consideration. I really want to throw that out to y'all. But when it comes down to the badges that you put on this build, that is easily the most important thing to make this build get the most potential of what it can possibly do. So we're going to go ahead and start with the finishing badges. I'm going to go with first gold limitless takeoff, as well as posterizer, slithery finisher, and then for the next 9, what I'm going to go ahead and do is run silver back down punisher, gold fearless finisher, and then for the very last badge, this really comes down to what you want to do. I would really consider possibly unstrippable or even pro touch. Now once we go ahead and get into the shooting, a good amount of badges to use here as well. So I'm going to go with blinders on silver. Same thing for Hot Zone Hunter, Hall of Fame Sniper. Then we got 2 extra badges that we're going to go ahead and put on silver. That's going to be Corner Specialist as well as Deadeye. Now Green Machine, honestly, I'm going to say you can put it on bronze if you want to for this specific build. I'm going to leave it on silver, but just an option to leave open for y'all. And then also, I would normally go with bronze or silver volume shooter just to spread the wealth a little bit more. Again, this is just based off of my preference, so don't worry. If you feel like going about it a different way, you definitely can do so. But now, let's go ahead and get into the playmaking. I'm going to go with silver, bullet passer, gold, hyperdrive. Then I'm going to go and add in silver, quick first step. You definitely cannot forget about that. We have a good amount of badges remaining, so just be sure to keep on. Gold triple threat juke as well as handles for days. Then for the next 6, it really comes down to the way you see things through. But for me, I'm going to go with tight handles on gold. And then from here, if you want to, you can go ahead and put on unpluckable. Or if you leave it on bronze or silver, it really comes down to your preference. But all you got to go ahead and do is make a few minor badge adjustments. Now, as for the defensive end, y'all most definitely know you got to go ahead and put on Intimidator on silver, Bronze rebound chaser, same thing with rim protector on silver, and then pickpocket. I like chase down artists paired up with clamps and then also pogo stick on gold. For the last two, it comes down to what you want to do, but I'm going to go with bronze tireless defender. And then for the very last badge, really, this is all based on your own preference, but I'm going to go with interceptor. And that's pretty much what the build is going to be looking like. 23 defensive badges, 24 playmaking, 22 shooting with 22 finishing, y'all. Again, if you made it to the end, just know that I appreciate y'all. I love y'all and I thank y'all. Thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity once again. And man, y'all already know what y'all need to do. Be sure to hit that sub button if you're new. Go ahead and turn on post notifications to join the Rich Gang family. Hit that like button and be sure to drop a comment down below when complete. I love y'all. I thank y'all. I'm out of here. I hope y'all are having a great start to your weekend. Happy Friday. And with all that being said, I got one last thing to say. Thank God and Rich out.